Right, guys, so I just thought I'll do a little test to see that in the current sort of conditions, how long can the DJI Mini stay in the air. Now bear in mind that the wind is fairly strong, and also the temperature is literally around freezing. So 1 degree or 2 degrees temperature, really no more. Very, very cold, and I just wanted to sort of see how long can it stay, in the air. So we'll see, how it goes. What I will do is I will try to maybe fast forward this video, and then, once we get to the point where you will see that it's sort of depleted its battery, then I will get to that point, and then we will do sort of a review and see how it went, and we will see what the capability of the drone is. So just gonna hover it and then see how long possibly it can stay in the air. So at the moment we are in 94% battery. I've literally freshly charged this battery about 3 minutes ago, so it was 100%. Now you can see I've just taken it up, it's already on 94%. Let's have a look. What's the battery info? So it's at 25 degrees, 25.6 degrees centigrade at the moment, 8.28 27 volts. So you can see that the battery temperature is not gonna go higher, but at least I'm not expecting it to go higher because it's really, really cold. So I'm not expecting it to get into a range of 40 degrees, something like that. I think it will pretty much stay low, but that is something to be seen. Also, I'm going to check the orientation of the aircraft. So you can see at the moment the compass setting is telling me that the wind is coming from, I'm not using the sticks at all, and you can see that the aircraft is tilting towards the backside. So it's telling me that the wind is coming from the backside. I really find this compass very, very helpful, and I think this is something that is really helpful in terms of if you hover it at a particular point, you can pretty much suss out the wind in terms of what the direction of the wind is. And I think this is really helpful, so you can understand the conditions. Look at that, it's got that gust, and you can see it tilts. The tilt increases when the aircraft detects sort of a gust or something like that. To stay in position, it has to tilt it. So you can see on the compass, and I think the previous compass, it wasn't giving that information. So as a pilot, having that information, I think, is very, very helpful. So it's a scene of the sunset. I am using the EV value to point of a 7. So I normally use negative EV values. I tend to try to, because I think the camera on DJI sort of overexposes the images, generally speaking. So I do tend to sort of error on that side. So yeah, let's see how this goes. Let's try to increase the altitude a bit and then see how sort of impacts that. 85% battery life, and this is pretty much really around. So at the moment it's saying I've got around 23 minutes of battery time, and well, the values are constantly changing. You can see roughly speaking, they are all in the region of 20 to 21 minutes. So that gives me an idea in terms of how much this is gonna go. Bear in mind, this is pretty much a hover test. It's not sort of going back and forth or something like that. So it's not gonna sort of give you a fair representation. It's pretty much just trying to keep the aircraft in the air as long as I can, and see how long we can do that. Also, you can see still the compass, I think, is really valuable here. It's giving me really good information in terms of the wind positioning. So at the moment, if I was to send this aircraft forward in the direction of the vision on the screen where it's pointing at, then returning back, I'm going to be facing into the wind. And that is the information that compass is telling me. So you have to account for that in your battery usage factor. And normally on cold days like this during the winter, what I'm doing is mentally I'm making a note of it that 20% means zero, so I need to work from that basis. So when I take off, I think I'm already on 80% battery, so I operate on that basis. And when I am sort of, obviously it's showing 100% on the screen, but when I reach around 75% or around 70%, that is the point when I'm starting to think back, basically. And if I am flying, I normally tend to not fly away from the wind when I'm sort of going into a location. I try to tend to fly into the wind, which really helps on the way back, and that is also something to keep in mind. So the cold weather also has an impact on it. So if you factor, I think 20% is a good gauge. If you give yourself a margin of 20%, I think that is something that helps, basically. So 27, I got my first strong wind warning. Bear in mind, I haven't had any wind warnings on this flight so far. This was the first one, which is understandable. As I say, it's a bit breezy. You can see that the aircraft is now, if I do a if I do a sort of a angle towards the wind, you can see how the compass is shifting. So now is pretty much, you can see it's facing into the wind. So now I know that the two lines, which you can see, if they move away from the horizontal center, if they move upwards, then that, and also the drone is facing towards the the north or the upward point, then you can see that the drone is facing into the wind. So that's the way you got to view it. So you can see those lines are giving me a very clear indication that I'm pointing the aircraft into the wind, and that is very valuable information when you are trying to maneuver your aircraft. You can factor that into your decision making, that how long it's going to take for the aircraft to come back to you. So let's do one more cine mode turn into the sunset. Really cold today, so yeah. And bear in mind, I'm recording this while sitting in a car, so you can see the signal is really solid. It's a pretty built up area, a lot of interference. Let's actually have a look at the interference side of things as well. So signal will be in transmission. Look at that. So it's pretty much stable signal. It's not, oops, oh yeah, it is pretty much stable. It's refreshing it, so there's not much interference. Bearing in mind, I'm just hovering it, not going anywhere. So yeah. So let's get back to the thing. It's still giving me around 16 minutes more flight time, and that positioning, you can see aircraft tilting sort of slightly, is telling me that wind is coming from behind. So if I go forward, I will be pretty much coming back into the wind, which means that the battery is going to deplete more quickly. So that is something that you have to bear in mind. And also, one thing to mention, you can see how stable the aircraft is in cine mode. So I'm literally not moving it, and it's literally even though there is a bit of a wind, it's not sort of moving back and forth, or floating in the air, so to speak. Like the footage is really stable. You can see some people say that their aircraft drifts to the left or to the right. I have not found that to be the case with my sort of drone. It's really stable, and I can't complain in terms of the stability of the craft. It's really holding its position very well. So let's try zoom 2 times. If I do video, I can get 3 times as well. No, is it only 2 times? I thought, oh no, I can get 3 times zoom. So you can see if the aircraft was moving, this zoom would even, the footage will sort of drift to the right or left and things like that. But you can see it's really stable footage. So can't complain about this. Really stable footage. %60 battery remaining. Right, so we are still got 15 minutes and 52 or 53 seconds. So still decent flight. We are, I think, 12.5 minutes into our flight, and it stays 15 minutes. So far really pleased. Can't complain about it. Given the current weather conditions and the wind, you have got to, give credit to DJI for what they have made here. Right, so this is the orientation of the compass where the wind is coming right behind. So you can see this is what the behind wind direction looks like on the compass. Now let's try to do where the wind is coming from side, crosswind. So this is where the crosswind, you can see the compass location. So if it's a crosswind, so it means crosswind coming from the right hand side and moving to the left. So the aircraft is banking into the wind. If we go further, you can see this is where aircraft is pointing into the wind. So it's tilting forward, and that means that it's pointing in the wind, looking at the compass direction. We go to the other side now. So this means the wind is coming from the left side and moving towards the right. You can see it's banking towards the left side. So this pretty much gives you in all 4 directions where the wind is coming from and how the aircraft is positioning for that. Really handy. Right, back to the sunset. So 20-minute flight so far. 27% battery remaining now. Literally going to the end on this one, and last few minutes the beeps are gonna really do my head in, but bear with me on that. So yeah, I don't like those beeps. I don't know if there's a way of canceling them. I don't think there is, but if there is, I'll be pleased to know. Or like a mute them or something like that, you know, because they are really yeah, very strong beeps. And I can understand the reason they have introduced the beeps, obviously to alert you that you need to return back, but there must be some way to mute them, maybe for 30 seconds or something like that, or 15 seconds, and then they reappear, something like that. I don't know. So now let's have a look at the battery situation here. Transmission still pretty stable. Battery temperature 27. What a surprise. I knew that because it's really like 1 degree outside. So when that's the case, you are sort of, you know, the battery temperature wise, it's not going to go much higher when it's literally freezing outside. So 27.2 after sort of 21-minute flight. Right, the end part of the battery is literally rushing through, I think. And that is what I wanted to actually see, how the end part, because to be honest with you, the way I fly it, I'm normally back before 20% battery. I'm normally back. Okay, I'll cut the beeping part as that can be quite annoying. So let's get to the end and then see how long was the flight for and what sort of results did we get. Hope you found this helpful in terms of reading the compass, flight stability, battery, in terms of the interference side of things, and also, you know, understanding the how the machine operates. I mean, I'm not sort of the ultimate authority on it, but that's my understanding with the limited knowledge I have of this craft so far from all the flying I've done.